Alrighty, we'll get stuck into it. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Harry. Been with Garmin for close to 4 years now, 4 years and a month. Normally you would see Junior. A lot of you will be more familiar with Junior, but Junior's away at the moment, but I'll be filling in. Hope I can do his justice, or do Junior justice. But yeah, we'll get stuck into it. So what we're going to be going through, we'll start off with our ActiveCaptain. So a lot of you would be familiar with ActiveCaptain. It's basically the background on how we keep all of our waypoints, tracks, and have everything backed up into one place. So we'll go through the user interface of ActiveCaptain, how we can connect to our unit, how we can use it to its fullest to make it of advantage to you guys. And then we'll touch on our Vespa. So who's got Vespa in their boats here? Yep. All right. So for those of you who don't know, we'll go through that. It's a really great tool to bring AIS, boat monitoring, VHF, DSC calls all into one. And then after that, we'll go into the Garmin. So we'll do a full rundown on the head units. This is basically going to be a Q&A. Don't feel like I'm just going to be talking the whole time. If you've got any questions, just throw your hands up or throw a question at me, and I'll try to fill it as best as I can. All right, ActiveCaptain. So this is, as I said, this is an app that we use that we basically can control our screen from, back up all our waypoints, view our charts from anywhere. We don't have to be near the boat, or we don't require internet as long as we've got it downloaded in the first place. So we can buy or upgrade our charts, update head units as well. So if you're remote and we need to do an update, software update, or you add a new product to the boat, we can do all this via our ActiveCaptain as well. Planning trips. So obviously a really great tool for if you're away from the boat, being able to plan a trip. So obviously if you're at home, we can then start to position the boat where we want to start our trip from, and then obviously we could plan wherever we go. So let's say we're going to Whitsundays or something like that, we can actually start to plan tracks and routes all the way to where we're going, and then when we get back to the boat, we can transfer that all across to the head unit. And then with On Deck, which is our boat monitoring, which will be moving towards the Vespa unit, we've either got two ways we can now monitor our boat. So that's remote, like remote anchor, drag, or GPS position. We can set like fences around the boat. If they go outside of that, we can receive texting alarms. We can have like a high water alarm, a bilge alarm, security alarms as well. So if we have any, like a back door open or something like that and you're not near the boat, it will also send you a text as well. So shore power as well. Yep, shore power. That is the way that yeah, so it's a product that will be able to do what Siren does. Yep.
Does it have an ongoing cost apart from an internet connection like Siren?
It will do, because it uses Iridium satellites.
Okay.
Yep, which is basically it's...
It may not be a financial benefit.
No. But you will gain benefit in redundancy on what the boat's doing. All right, registering devices. So a lot of you guys would have already registered your ActiveCaptain to the head unit.
No.
No? We haven't?
I only downloaded it yesterday.
Okay.
As an app. So.
All right, so what we'll do, we'll go through that on the Garmin side when we get to the Garmin, being able to connect to the Garmin. All right, so pretty much once we've registered our devices, let's say we were to add something down the track. Once we're in our ActiveCaptain, obviously we've got our marine device list. This is basically where everything that's in your vessel is now under your name. So if you were to sell the boat or something like that, you would have to deregister all of these devices out of your name. But if we were to update or add a device to the boat, we'd be going to marine devices, add product, and then we would use the 84 or whatever the name of the boat or whatever the name of the Wi-Fi is. We would continue with that, and then it would say devices found, and anything that's new into the system would update in there. All right, ActiveCaptain settings. So this gives us the ability to match the settings in the app to what we've got on the boat. So I get a heap of calls where they say they've created a track on their ActiveCaptain, they've sunk it to the boat, but then it's not available on the boat, purely because the boat's got overhead height clearances. It's got shallow water, so depth, preferred depth that it's got to travel through. So on your phone, if you don't have it set up and you create a track using auto guidance, if it's not matching the same settings that's on the phone to what it is on the head unit, you'll have clashes between the two. So we've got to make sure that the app is exactly the same settings and transducer depths and all that sort of stuff to what the screen is in the boat. So basically what we got here, this is our user settings. So what you would basically get when you first turn the head unit on. You guys would probably have a lot of this done by the factory, but you can update all this stuff in the head unit or change it. We've got depth, we can go like meters, feet, fathoms, all that sort of stuff. Temperature, distance, a preference on how you like to read vessel speed. Elevation, not something that will come into it too much, but when you are using your on deck, this will be like on deck. If you're using on deck, this will be at advantage because it'll give you elevation or what the boat's doing. Gauge pressure, atmospheric. Oh Jesus, I can't pronounce that. Wind speed and volume. So that would be our liters, gallons or whatnot. Data usage. We will want this so for those who have like Wi-Fi on the boat, you would be able to just run on Wi-Fi only, but if you're away from the boat without Wi-Fi, you would want to make sure that you've got your Wi-Fi and your cellular turned on. If you don't have that turned on and you're trying to use cellular data, it will not update the app or you won't be able to download. So making sure that your ActiveCaptain is set on Wi-Fi and cellular, so any updates away from the boat will happen a lot easier. Auto updates, so automatically downloading updates in the background. So as long as the ActiveCaptain is open in the app or open in your phone and it's got user data and it sees potential software, it will download it automatically. So that gives you the ability to jump back in the boat and without you even knowing, it'll transfer software to the head unit. And then once that's all done, it'll say software ready to go. You can either go yes or no. So preferably when you get back from the trip, and do the software when you get back to the dock. Active track, so this is the ability to control whether the track or the snail trail overlaps itself. So like an old so a videotape or something like that, or a dash cam, instead of it filling the SD card and then becoming full, it will just continue to delete what's behind it. So fill will get, beg your pardon?
Fill.
Yeah, so fill will fill it and then it will stop. Whereas your wrap will just keep going and it'll delete what was last to be recorded.
So put it on wrap?
Put it on wrap, yeah. Yep.
What if you don't and you're on fill and it's full, it'll just tell you that will.
It'll just tell you it's full, yep. And you'll basically see no more snail trail behind it, yep.
So is that done saved on the SD card?
This is based on the phone.
Alright.
So this is phone settings. Obviously, if we were to do it on that, we could then bring it to the SD card.
Yeah.
Yep.
On the MFD,
Yep.
can you increase the distance that it does record for?
You can, but it cuts the resolution. So you got to think, if you were to make like this resolution here, so 50 feet, so every 50 feet, it will create a turn.
Yep.
The higher you have that, the longer it will last because the resolution's a lot less. So if you bring this back to, let's say 5 feet, it will look really clean, but it'll use a lot more data. So you got to find that intermediate.
Your SD card for your ActiveCaptain doesn't
Won't do it. So what that will do in the head unit will give you the ability to create a really nice track. If that's what you like, then you can save that track. So saving the track to the head unit will then allow it to obviously clear it out of active tracks, and active tracks will maintain. Yep.
Resolution, you got 50 there?
Yep.
And I've got 15 here.
Yep.
Is that okay, or should I change it?
That's fine. It's personal preference, because what it'll do, so if you've got it too large, let's say instead of it being a nice steady curve, it'll be like jut, jut,
Right,
jut,
okay.
jut. So having it to the point where it's still nice and nice and curved. Obviously, as you zoom out, it'll look better and better. So as you zoom in, it'll become a little bit more like 50-cent piece style.
As many points.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it'll just bring those turn.
Nice on that.
What is nice, I'd say that 15 to 20 feet is a nice. I think we set that up when we did your boat. Yep. Yep. So obviously, as you zoom out, they will look closer and closer together, so that won't look as sort of 50 cent piece sort of turns. Vertical, so track color, so we can actually change our track color in ActiveCaptain as well as the head unit itself. So if you wanted to, let's say you liked a different track color other than white, we could go through and change the track color. You can also change the resolution. So at the moment it's set on feet, so distance. We can also change it to time. So you can bring it back to like 2 seconds or something like that, or 5, 6, 10 seconds. And if you're cruising at a low speed, it would calculate. It would go off time, other than distance. Auto guidance settings. So this is a really important one for setting tracks in your phone and then transferring them across the screen. If these settings here do not match the boat settings, when you transfer an auto guidance route across to the head unit, it will have issues. It will basically either say no, or it will give you a totally different route to what's in your phone. So we've got to make sure that our auto guidance settings are correct. Chart downloading. So hands up who's done like relief shading downloads or anything like that on their ActiveCaptain? So anyone got relief shading in their head unit?
Haven't done it through ActiveCaptain.
Okay, so you guys have probably just got the SD card straight in. Yep. So which is the new style. So we now have got cards or built-in relief shading into our map cards, so we don't need to download it anymore. Let's say we do have a map card that's got relief shading built in. All that you really don't have access to is the satellite imaging. Satellite imaging is the only thing that we do have to download now. Everything else is built into the chart card. So if you did purchase a new, or you have got a new chart card that has got relief shading built in, we could go through and we could untick our raster charts, which we don't have in Australia anyway, raster charts, relief shading, sonar imagery, Quickdraw, and ActiveCaptain Community. That way you're only downloading relief shading. You're not doubling up on your you're not doubling up on stuff you've already got in the map card, which in turn will slow the head unit down because it's processing more data and it's processing two of the same things that it's already got. So bringing them down to exactly what you want will make it download a lot quicker as well, and the file size will be smaller. Right, so this is a pretty new update to the app itself. So this gives you the ability to add in your own boat to the system. So this will also bring in all of your like beam draft, overhead height, just a bit more customizable. So you can go in there, your account's got a photo of your boat, name of the boat, however you set it up. So obviously the more accurate you can get this, the more accurate your auto guidance routes will be. All right, so chart settings. So pretty much all the chart settings that you see in the app itself are all on the head unit. So there's no real change between the head unit and the app. You see a lot here that is basically the exact same wording as what's in the head unit for a reason to make it easy between the two. Satellite imaging, so we'll touch on that when we get to the Garmin stuff.
So sorry, on the app, how do I get the chart settings?
Yep, so if you go to the chart page.
On the chart, yeah.
Yep. And then you've got the 3 lines up the top. Yep, push on that and then go chart settings.
Got it.
Yep, so you'll see exactly what I've got here. Yep. So then from there, this is changing the settings in your phone. So this gives you the ability to add in like high detail or contour lines, satellite imaging, like chart tide points and stuff like that in the app as well. So from here,
You can turn satellite photos on.
Yep.
You
Yep.
would turn that on?
Yep, so you can if you want. So what it'll do to start with, if you push satellite imaging, it'll do land only. So that would normally be on land only. As soon as you flick land only off, then we can start to see satellite imaging over the top of the water. So going through shallow water areas or anchoring up inside reef systems, which we'll touch on as well.
So in short, you turn satellite photos on but turn land only off.
Well, that's only if you wanted to see what's like shallow water areas. So satellite imaging on the land is obviously going to give you landmarks around you, but the satellite imaging on top of the water is a great tool for like anchoring up in reef systems. So like if you go to Fitzroy or something like that, you can actually see the whole reef system, all the bommies and whatnot as well. So yeah. Tides and currents, so obviously that's like an overlay of having tide or cardinal markers on the head unit. Land POIs, so that's like fuel, fuel docks, food, shops and all that sort of stuff will come up as well. Service points, very similar. It's fuel, boat shops, all that sort of stuff. It's anything that's been registered into the ActiveCaptain app. Photo points, so a lot of major marinas will have a aerial view photo point from a high angle. So there's one at Runaway Bay, there's one here, you've got one at Century Cove, and it's basically the entry to any marina. They do an aerial view, so when you go there, if you've never been there before, it'll just be a camera symbol on the screen. You would push on that, you go view photo, and it would show you the photo of the marina from an aerial point of view. So cool little feature. Shallow shading. So shallow shading brings in like a nice, basically a haze over all the shallow points. So the darker the blue it will be gradually get closer to land. The lighter the blue, the deeper it will get. Sort of work backwards, but we can change that with our depth shading. So depth shading is a customizable, so if you were to turn on depth shading, it would give you basically from factory to give you red as in shallow, then it would go to an orange, a yellow, and then a green. So as you get deeper, green's obviously a safer color. As you get shallower, red will be your danger color. But that's completely customizable. So you can go in there and change the parameters of each color. So let's say you want red from 0 to 2 meters or 0 to 3 meters. You can go through and change all that. Spot depth. So it's basically being able to pinpoint a depth area. It's very similar to your shallow shading, but just single depth. Relief shading, that's basically is exactly what it is. We can overlay relief shading onto the chart, or we can turn it off. Fishing contours, pretty self-explanatory. All of our contour lines that will give all of our depth markers and depth points across the screen. These guys here will come across on all of ActiveCaptain. So lease blocks, so mooring points and stuff like that will show us basically like an X with a dotted ring around it. ActiveCaptain community will be anything that other users or other ActiveCaptains have added into the system. So if you're sharing onto the ActiveCaptain community, you can go to a marina and add in like a review to that marina. So if someone goes there and it's hard to get in to get petrol, someone would then add on there difficult to get big boat in on petrol. So a lot of people don't do it. Some people do it. Diesel for you guys. Yep. I should even drive a diesel car. I don't know why that's in my vocabulary, but anyway. So yeah, some people will do it, but it is good if you can get into the habit of just reviewing something. Like it is a really good tool that I feel like a lot more people should do. Quickdraw community, as mapping gets better, this sort of is starting to rule out, but in deep water, if you do a bit of deep water fishing like deep dropping and stuff like that, this is a really handy tool to obviously map your own data. With the Quickdraw community, what that allows you to do is actually bring in other people's data that have actually put it onto ActiveCaptain. So if you were to go into a river system that seems uncharted halfway up the coast, you could go onto your Quickdraw community and turn that on. So anywhere that you've downloaded on your ActiveCaptain will actually download any other user's data that they've done any scanning. So anyone that's got a transducer on their boat has got the ability to scan and create their own Quickdraw contours. So turning that on would give you other people's contour lines throughout there. So it would be an exact representation of that river as it's been scanned by a user. And that could come from a 3 meter tinny. Like it could be anyone, but you know it's genuine data because it's been scanned by a transducer.
They don't follow really a 1 foot draft.
Correct. Yeah. And you can still overlay all of your depth shading. So that's not going to get ruled out by your Quickdraw contours. So any depth shading, if it's still shallow, it's still going to show as red.
So any changes on here, whether you tick or untick,
Yep.
only go in when you connect to the Garmin system on your boat. Right?
Well, this is all based off your phone. This is all phone settings.
So it's not going to change.
Not going to
anything
change
until-
anything on. Well, it won't change anything on your head unit at all.
Oh, okay.
No. So this is all purely app based. Yep. So we'll get into the screen where we can start to introduce these settings onto the screen itself, so you can sort of keep two completely customizable. Waypoints, so obviously we can turn our waypoints on or off. So if you've got a heap of waypoints in an area and it becomes really cluttered, we can turn them off. So your nav aid labels, so anything that's, so you can actually, so a beacon will have the name of the beacon beside it. So like M6 and all that throughout the bay. If you would turn that off, it would just show the beacon. You turn that on, it would give you the name of the beacon beside it. So a good one to have and a good reference. This stuff you won't really change. The ILA is basically the standard that we use in the app. Pretty sure that is elsewhere. So there's some countries use that style, but in Australia we just stay with this one. Yep, just keep it on that. Yep, that's pretty much how it would be on every one of your guys' apps.
Yeah, mine was too.
Really?
Yeah, mine was.
American app.
Potentially. Let me get back to you on that, because that should be the other way around, I think. Light sectors, so any of your flashing markers or beacons or anything like that, if you turn that on, it will actually flash the beacon in your app. So off will just make it look like a beacon. By turning it on, like a red beacon will flash red in the app, green beacon will flash green. Yeah, it is cool, but on the app, once it's zoomed out and there's like a heap of beacons, it can be full on. But when you're zoomed in and you're focused on where you're going, it is really good. Night modes, that's no different to pushing the power button and going night mode on the head unit. So night mode will basically just dull the colours. So it's not as bright. If you have got it on the dash at night, like on an iPad, it basically brings it from a really bright colour palette to a real nice dark, easy to look at colour palette. Or you can go auto. It will change as the light changes. So obviously all iPhones and iPads have diodes in them. They will change automatically to the screen what it's seeing. Orientation, head up, north up. Chart detail. So this is one that I would change a lot on fishing chart. So obviously your navigation chart has got a lot less contour lines or a lot less detail than what your fishing chart does. All that lifting this from normal to most does is gives you a really high level of detail on the chart. So if you were to go into that and then go back to your fishing chart as a zoomed out, there'll be a lot more detail on your fishing chart or on any chart saying that. So you can do that on relief shading or a navigation. I like keeping navigation quite simple, a lot less data, easy to track off at night. Yep, so then chart size. So chart size is basically making all of the depth markers. So if you got like the 6 meter markers around all the contour lines or whatever number it is, that will actually lift and make the size bigger. So you can take that to a large, get this a lot, and especially when you are back from the screen a fair way, the smaller numbers can be quite small. This is no different than the screen settings, but we'll get there. But on the app as well, it'll make those little depth points a lot bigger. Any questions on that?
So basically what we have on our phone should look identical to what you've got.
Exactly the same. Yep. So when you set the settings that you like on the app, you can do the exact same thing in the head unit as well. All right. So features that we've got access to as an owner. So signing into a head unit as an owner versus as a guest. So if you get, let's say someone come onto the boat and they want to either update the head units or something like that. So personally, I sign in to other people's boats as a guest all the time. I've got no access to any of their waypoints or data. All they've got access to is being able to update their head unit, so download software, update it. so smart notifications, so if I wanted my notifications to come up on the screen, I could. So I can actually send waypoints and tracks to the unit as a non-owner, and then Helm. So Helm's our recording. As an owner, you've obviously got access to all of this stuff. So
Where's that on the screen? Is that on the screen somewhere?
no, so this is, so as you would log into your head unit, you would become the owner. So each boat or each ActiveCaptain account has 2 available devices to it. So you'd have a phone and an iPad. If I was to then log into your account under my name, I would become a guest.
Right.
So if you've got someone that, let's say one of these guys were to jump onto your boat and they would need to update it, you could say, hey, yeah, this is my password to my account. Would you be able to update it off my ActiveCaptain? And they would just sign in as a guest.
Sure. So I can use a phone or an iPad to plan things and upload either.
Yes. Yep. Because you're allowed 2 devices on each account. So you could have a phone and an iPad as your 2 dedicated devices. Alrighty. ActiveCaptain and transferring waypoints from your ActiveCaptain itself to, let's say, your email. You can then text these GPX files elsewhere. So if you've got mates that are saying, hey, I need some waypoints, I'm going north, you can say, hey, here's my waypoints. I've got tracks and routes and all sorts of stuff. Or not tracks and routes, but I've got waypoints into somewhere. You can then export the waypoints and the GPX file and all your marks into the email and send it to whoever you want. So all we got to do is we go to our user data in our app. We got the 3 dots up the top. We go export as GPX file. And then it would ask you how we want to send it. So then obviously you could send it via email if that's preferred, to either Gmail, Outlook or whatever.
Can you group your waypoints for certain areas that you go
We
to?
will get to that. Yep. That's only an ADM file though. So, but you can convert them if you want. Yep. So then once we open our email, we would go share file type. So we would push on this one, share file, fire, and then we would select ActiveCaptain. So this is the other person that's now transferring it in. And it's the same thing. If you've got like an old phone or an old ActiveCaptain account with waypoints on it, you could then email it to yourself and then transfer it out of your email into your own account. Who uses Navionics here? Yep, cool. We'll get to that because we can do the same thing with Navionics.
Do we need to if you've got ActiveCaptain, or is it
No.
redundant?
No. So Navionics is totally different. Some people, but Navionics is still very well used. It's like at the point where it's probably more familiar to people than what ActiveCaptain is. Because it's an app-based, everyone downloaded it. Like I remember having it as a kid at MS Sounder, the boat, it was just a phone, and all I used was Navionics because it would give you speed, a basic track and route. Everyone's so familiar with Navionics, but now that people are starting going into Garmin and stuff like that, they can actually use the Garmin interface no different to what the Navionics would be.
So you can transfer your Navionics over to Garmin?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
And you can vice versa. Like we own both. We own Navionics, so like if you still use Navionics and you like Navionics, and you wanted to cross-reference the 2, you could transfer all of your waypoints into Navionics as well. So we'll get to that as well. So pretty much you're opening the file, share file type, then we go to ActiveCaptain. ActiveCaptain would then open and it would go, you would then import that. So you would import all them. As soon as you get them onto the phone, you connect to the head unit, all of those new waypoints go across to the head unit. And the exact same thing for your Navionics. So if you were in Navionics, you would do the same thing. So there is a user data, export as GPX file, and then you do it in reverse and then go, you can do it straight into Garmin. You don't have to do it via email. You could just go from Navionics, export as GPX file, find ActiveCaptain, shoot it into ActiveCaptain, and it's already there.
So does that mean my Navionics subscription and my ActiveCaptain?
Totally separate.
So you can't join the 2?
Yeah, you can't join
That's
the 2.
not what you just
Yeah.
said. Right. Sorry,
Yeah.
I thought that's what you meant. It's not.
Yeah, no, they're completely separate.
So you can't do something on your Navionics and then export it over to your ActiveCaptain.
No, you can't. No, you can't do like a track or a route and then transfer it. It's just waypoint. You could add in waypoints
Yep.
and then transfer those waypoints to your ActiveCaptain.
ActiveCaptain does routes, doesn't it?
Correct. Yep. So ActiveCaptain will do your auto guidance, and you can push your auto guidance, routes, and go-tos all across to ActiveCaptain. So you can see it's the exact same.
Yep.
We would select our boating app, and then they would come across to our Navionics if we like using Navionics. Obviously, Navionics doesn't have the interface with the Garmin, but if you were just using it as a standalone unit, you could use that as well. All right, this is probably the best feature out of ActiveCaptain completely as a tech, as backup, being able to help you guys. If you have small niggles or issues or something like that that you need help with, and it might not even be issues, just say, hey, what's this? Can you let me know what this is? Go onto your ActiveCaptain, and when you connect up, you'll have this Helm. From here, you'll select the screen that you wanted to record, and we can go, okay, I want to record the 8422, the 9000 series, whatever it is. We can then record that straight to our device. So we record that to our phone or our iPad, and then when you get back into reception or you got Starlink or whatever you got, you can shoot it through to any of us, Terry, myself, anyone, and you say, hey, just having issues with this, hey, I've seen this, what's the go? It's way easier to report back to you on a video of something that you're seeing than you trying to interpret it. It's just me going, oh, yep, do this, do that, do that.
We can't do that now because we're not connected to the boat.
Can't do it now, but when you are connected to the boat,
you can do
yep,
it.
yep. So while you're experiencing what you are, or you wanted to query something, you would just record it. It would save straight to your phone. You send it to whoever you want. And same thing, like I could then, like what I would do, like I've got an 8412 in my room, in my office, I could do the same thing back to you. I could say, hey, I've recorded this, do this, that, and that, and I send it to you, and then it pops up straight away.
Sorry,
You're right.
in that case, will they have to, so as default they are generally connected to the boat's Wi-Fi, will they have to be then connected to the Garmin Wi-Fi connection
Correct.
to start recording?
Yes.
So that's the first step. So
Yeah.
we turn off the Wi-Fi
Yeah.
on the boat.
You've got to be connected to the head unit. It won't, like this Helm won't pop up unless you're not connected. Yeah, so, and it will say this here, connected or not connected. So.
Wouldn't they both be connected to the same Wi-Fi? Wouldn't they both be connected to the same?
No, they're separate. Yeah. So the Wi-Fi in any of our units is not internet based. It's purely connection based. Wi-Fi is a lot stronger than Bluetooth. It's why we use it. So. All right. And all of our units in the past have been limited to 32 gigabyte. 32 gigabyte with relief shading, depending on how much you do, can sometimes be a little bit small, and we found the cards were maybe getting a little bit slower, and where you would drag and you would go to a new area of charting, it would take a little bit to download, or it'll wait and then it'll pop up. We've got the ability to go to 1 terabyte SD cards now. So a lot faster card, a lot greater file type. They're not working as hard to push the data across. So pretty much any of the new 9000 series, we can go straight into the back of the head unit with a 1 terabyte. Any of the current 1253s or the Eco Maps or anything like that, we can put straight 1 terabyte into it, as long as it's current software. So we've got to get it to current software before we can put a 1 terabyte in. With any of the Volvo screens, it's got to come through an external card reader. So they will not support out of the back of their head unit. You would have to go to one of these. Some of you guys would have one of these. Some of you guys would have the big tall door one. The rectangular one will not support anything over 32 gigabytes. So it's FAT32 is a 32 gigabytes file. Anything above that is now exFAT. So those card readers are just too slow. So you will have to just update one of these. We'll get into charting as well. Any of the new Navionics charting will require one of these. Purely because that old Ethernet style card reader is not fast enough to read any of the data that we're putting through now. So that's the best way to go. And if you can update one of them to one of them, that would be definitely an advantage with mapping and bigger cards moving forward. All right, troubleshooting with ActiveCaptain. So this is becoming, we used to have a bit of issues with transferring relief shading and stuff like that. It's getting less and less as software gets better. We're dealing with it, and it's pretty much to the point where we just don't hear about issues of transferring anymore. The main one that we always saw was a bad SD card or a poor quality SD card. I can't recommend highly enough just going and buying. You don't have to spend a mutzer on an SD card, just buy a good quality SanDisk. It's by far the brand that we have least amount of issues with. As soon as we go to those ones where it's just, don't know the brand of that, but it's 32 gigabyte, that's where we start to have issues. So sticking to a good quality SD card, ensuring that it's, now above or either way. If it's in 32 gigabyte or less, we're using FAT32. So as soon as you put the SD card in, it'll register. You can click on it and go format. When it comes up with format, it'll select a file type. So all of them out of the box are FAT32, but if you were to format it, we just want to make sure that it's in that file. SD cards greater than 32 gigabyte, we must be using this exFAT. So it's in the exact same drop down. You'll have FAT32 and then exFAT below it. Ensuring the devices are under the correct name. So as most of you guys would be new boat owners, you won't have this issue. Out of the box, they are basically deregistered. But if you did sign out or get a new phone and you're signing back in, you want to make sure that you're signing back in under the correct account. Because if you don't sign back in under the correct account, you won't transfer charts, you won't update charts, you'll just have all sorts of issues. Software version, keeping an eye on software on your phone, not only on the head unit or on the app, making sure that your phone's up to date is a big thing. When we create software for the app, we're creating it on the latest software. So sometimes we just have issues where it's just not working or the app's just playing up. All we do is just either update the app, or what you can do is back your data up, send that file, that GPX file, or backing all your data up to your emails, deleting the app and re-downloading it. So re-downloading the app will basically re-download it in the latest version. There's no if, buts, or maybes, at least you know it's being downloaded at current version. You just want to make sure that everything's either on the same software or in the same time period or the latest. It will just save a lot of drama with any sort of conflicting software. This stuff you won't really have to do a lot, like resetting network or forgetting the device. It's pretty stable. Wi-Fi is very stable. You won't have to forget the device. Pretty much once you connect to it, that's the only time you'll ever have to connect to it. Obviously backing it up before resetting it. So if you do have to reset the app, it's always good habit to actually, like after let's say a year of owning the boat and you've got all these waypoints on your phone, just send an email to yourself. Just export the GPX file, send it to your email, and just leave it there. Because if, let's say, if something happened to your phone, drop your phone overboard, or something happened to the head units, at least you've got a complete backup in your emails. So you would then download the app again, obviously sort all your screens out, grab your waypoints, put them back into your app, and then send them across to the head unit. So a good little habit to get into every so often, just send a file to yourself. Yep, so as we mentioned before, that old Ethernet card reader is becoming something that we will be trying to swap out or recommend going to a USB card reader. The new Navionics chart. So a lot of you guys probably already have Navionics, or most of you would have Navionics. We do have built-in relief shading Navionics cards now. If you don't have built-in, all you would be doing is just downloading it off your ActiveCaptain in the areas that you want. So exactly the same, but the regions have relief shading everywhere now. So pretty much how it is, splits Australia in half, and when you put the card in, you don't have to go and download anything. All that you do have to download now is the satellite imaging.